everybody. Welcome to the Sharon and Joe Show. My name is Sharon.
Hey, y'all. My name is Joe.
So it's our Saturday night date night.
Yeah, for Monday's video.
Yeah, Exactly. This is actually, guys, one of the only times I ever do a video ahead of time. I'm still stuck doing them the same day. I can't get ahead.
It's kind of sad, too, because it's like we consider it like our date night.
Yeah, I know.
We get to get away from the kids and the animals for a little bit.
Well, it was funny because I was telling someone at work the other day about this. And he's like, so that's your date night? He's like, well, do you do anything else? Or is like that just you guys don't get to go out because you're doing videos? I was like, no, we go out too. But it was like a good question, like, you know.
We love to go for walks, you guys. There's a nice, huge like park system, metro park system about 5 minutes away from here. It's got a beautiful creek, and we love to go down there. We go down there at least like twice a week.
Sometimes it's every day.
Yeah.
Guys, it is my favorite place to go with Joe. And it's so funny because a lot of times, as you know, we've kind of been wiped out financially by the narcissist. So it's not like we can just go and do whatever we want. But legit, yeah, like my favorite thing to do is go there with you for free.
Yeah, it's beautiful there, and now that we live in a state that has the 4 seasons, so now that autumn is coming, like the beautiful colors that we're gonna see, like this place is huge, you guys. It's a huge canyon, and it's a beautiful place to go.
Look for photos coming soon on the community page. I love taking pictures, so you guys can take a look at the scenery photos.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So, Joe, it's been a bit of an interesting week. Is that the right way to say it?
Yeah, some important news came Monday. I got an email from my attorney, and then I just got the paperwork today. My divorce has been finalized.
So, you guys, you hear that?
After close to 2.5 years of this process, it's finally, I followed it through. You know, I remember at the beginning, I couldn't half measure it. You know, I couldn't just do a little bit and then change my mind like I did all the other times. It was like I had to follow it through.
It's been quite a journey.
Yeah.
And so, guys, half of us are done, right?
Yeah.
So the Joe side of Sharon and Joe Show is done.
It was a little somber when I found out about it. It wasn't like I was jumping
about
up
to ask you your
a little somber.
thoughts.
Not sad or depressed, but it's kind of somber. Like it's a shame that it had to happen like this. Although I was delusional, you know, I wanted something so bad, and it was my chosen ideal to have a family and be a dad and a good husband. And I was by no means like a perfect husband or even close to that. I had my own faults, but there was a sense of relief, though. Like for 2.5 years, it was like the threats and the anxiety. I remember those feelings I had in my stomach. I'd wake up in the middle of the night. It wasn't an anxiety attack. That happened every other day, but I had bleeding ulcers. That like, I finally linked it together a couple of days ago. I was like, that's what that was. It happened to me twice.
Yeah.
It was like this burning, like somebody put a hot coal in my stomach, and I was just keeled over. It was horrible.
Well, that's the thing. Like when you're dealing with a narcissist, like, there are physical symptoms as well.
They say there's no physical abuse, and maybe there, in some cases, not all. There's a lot of physical abuse in some cases, but what I mean is like the physical symptoms. Absolutely, 100%. Like my cortisol levels were shot through the roof. The stress, that hormone that produces that was just. I was not at homeostasis. I was off balance, and I was afraid that I was going to be permanently off balance.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it's scary when something bad happens to you and you don't see an end in sight. But Joe, you made it. You made it. What do you think? All the way through, you're still standing.
Yeah, I remember close to 2.5 years ago in this garage when I went no contact, and I had my family, my boys, and the animals and stuff, and God gave me his blessing. You know, he was just like, you're relieved. You did what you could. Your hand is forced. I understand. I love you. I forgive you. But you have to see it through. I remember somehow, some way, it was like, your relief will come when this is over. Now, that didn't mean that I had to put my life on hold for 2.5 years. But that inner voice inside was just, because my problem was that I forgave, and then I forgot.
Yeah.
And the forgetting part is what would get me all the time. And this was a time where I had to follow it all the way through to learn a little bit about self-worth and what love is and what love isn't.
You've been through it, Joe. But Joe and I, all right, I'm just going to tell you guys right now, when the day that I find out I'm divorced, I'm going to be celebrating. Joe is different than that. He's not like upset or anything, but he doesn't look at it the way I do. Like, this is fantastic.
Although there was a profound statement that I made a couple of months ago when we were in the car. Maybe we would better go to the park.
Oh, I know what you're
going
to say, yeah.
And this sounds really weird, you guys, but like my biggest accomplishment so far in my life has been divorcing the narcissist, because I'm Christian. My fundamental belief is in Christianity. I don't believe in divorce necessarily, except for causes like this. But like the accomplishment is that I believe that when you're with a narcissist, they will bring in light, like your greatest fears. Like everything that you're basically walking through hell. You know?
My God,
and
yeah.
getting.
Well, we've mentioned this is spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
This isn't just a divorce like everybody else has.
Yeah, and I give it all the credit to God, but going through that and coming out and being alive, because it was life and death for me.
I know it was.
So
guys, just so you know, when he says that, that's not just a phrase. It's true. It almost took you out.
Yeah, it did. And my two boys I was hanging on for them, but there was nothing for myself or any kind of a future or anything like that. It was really bad.
I just want to say one thing, because you kind of touched on this, just to bring this up, just for anybody who's thinking this or wondering. Joe and I are both Christians, and at the very beginning, before I even knew my ex was a narcissist, but I wanted to divorce him, I didn't want to be married to him, I really believed that if you're a Christian and you're married, like, that's your lot in life. I spoke to my pastor, and he was the first person to tell me, you shouldn't be married to him. The church will support you if you divorce him. Guys, when my pastor said that, I really thought he was going to be more along the lines of, too bad for you. And so when you say, like, it's a shame, I know what you mean. But just for anybody that feels that way, that feels like, well, I can't get divorced, I made vows to God. My view on that, and I'm not a theologian or anything like that, is that you were with somebody who was lying to you. They're not. You don't know who you're married to. They didn't represent themselves. So you're with somebody you don't know. Like, so you made a commitment to somebody that you don't know.
Well, what stuck for me was like the for better, for worse part.
Yeah, me too.
That really like played on my mind.
That actually might be a good future video.
You know,
what do you think?
It's just, yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
It's just, it's not like I was dealing with somebody that could take responsibility and accountability for actions and actually be sorry. It was just, it had me stuck there for a while until she pushed the goalpost so far that it was just like, there's no going back now. My hand was forced and I knew what I had to do.
Yeah, you can't waste your life with somebody like that. Like, it's not even a somebody. It's something evil in your life that wants to hurt you.
I believe for many malignant narcissistic cluster Bs, like and I'm not a Christian freak or anything like that. It's just my fundamental belief is in Jesus. But there's a verse in the Bible that says it's the unpardonable or forgivable sin is blasphemy of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And about a year and a half ago, I added it up for Joe. For the way I perceive that is that for many malignant cluster B narcissists, when they do something wrong, they're not willing to look at it and make amends to actually
I don't
change,
think they can,
to forgive. So how does God forgive somebody that doesn't ask for forgiveness? Yeah. And it made sense. Like, wow, okay, so I was dealing with something like that, and it really wasn't about me. It was about whatever issues they had in their childhood and how they perceived it, and their choice of not caring if they hurt anybody or not,
Yeah. At the end of the day, if you're with a narcissist and you can get out, I personally, I think that you should.
My thought is that you could have a million people tell you, but until you lose all hope in the relationship and you become hopeless, ironically, is when you have a chance of finding hope. And for me, I was beyond human aid. So I had to humbly cry out to God to say, please help me.
And he was there.
Yeah.
So, Joe, I'm happy for you, and I really am. And maybe we can talk about this on some other future videos coming up.
Yeah. Then the same day.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. So here we have like some of Joe's news, and this is a very busy day for you.
And then I had a meeting with my manager, and like over half the company got laid off. So I was laid off on the same day, which was that happened first before I found out about the divorce. So I was a little distraught, but not like too bad the way I normally would get. And it was just like, and we talked about fall and autumn, like the change is coming, and I have to look at it like it was a good thing. It was no surprise, but my mental faculties after this last 2.5 years, I wasn't able to do much. So my job I knew inside and out. I sell insurance. I worked from home. I didn't have the energy or self-worth to really bring up a new resume and go out and with a positive kick-ass attitude. So something had to happen, and I take it like, okay, so it's changed. It's okay. I got some side jobs I'm doing. I had an interview 2 days later, and I'm doing okay. And in light of some of the things that have happened.
Do you remember we made the video? I'm sorry, I don't know why I said it like that. I know you remember. In July, we made a video and was kind of checking in, a midweek check-in with Joe and Sharon.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned in there that if you start stepping away from the channel or you're not really present, that's like a really dangerous sign for you.
Yeah, I'm either walking closer to God or walking farther away, and wind up in the desert.
What do you think you are, closer or further away?
I think I'm walking closer.
Yeah,
I felt pretty
too.
Good. I started going back to the gym again and training. It's almost become a habit now.
Yeah.
Almost.
You guys don't know this about Joe, but he trains. Tell us about you training, because when we were first together, that was the type of thing that you were doing all the time.
My schedule was 4:30 in the morning. I'd wake up. I'd take an ice shower and scream and wake up. And,
oh my gosh.
My prayer was, God, please run with me. I'd go to the gym and train. It was good for my serotonin levels, my stress.
Now, when you say train, I know exactly what you mean, but I used to not. So do you want to, just for anybody that's like, what does he mean, train?
Well, circuit training, lifting weights, running, biking, training. Some people call it workout, but I don't, because when I go there, it's like life is a mother, and you got to train for it. And so I trained in the morning and at night when the boys go to sleep. I go right up into the gym. It was open 24/7. I go on the bike or go on a treadmill, and kept healthy, ate clean. And before, a couple of years ago, I'd take a class at the community college, 1 or 2 classes a semester, kind of just keep my brain sharp.
Yeah.
And there was a point where this last couple of years, I'd listen to a narc channel every once in a while.
What channel were you listening to?
Yours.
I know.
And I would hear people say, "Yeah, I'm so much better. I'm a better version of myself." And I used to really get frustrated because it's like I'm not even at where I was, let alone to become a better version. But I think it's a good thing. Change is good.
I think you're doing fantastic considering everything that happened. And yeah, I definitely see you full charge ahead.
Hopefully, and keep it on an even keel. I try to avoid extremes, like extreme highs and extreme lows, and try to keep on an even keel so I'm present and aware and attack the day.
So, Joe, we will make sure to keep everybody up to date with what's going on. But
yeah, guys, keep me in your prayers.
Yes,
too,
that's what I was just gonna
so
say.
I could try
yeah.
to I've been doing some footwork. I updated my resume. I had an interview a couple days ago. But keep me in your prayers. I got some work. I got a couple friends that are in the landscaping and concrete work that I'm doing whatever I can in the meantime. It's a little scary. One of the cool parts, I guess, I don't know if cool is a good adjective, but when you get through narcissistic abuse and you overcome your codependency and you learn about yourself and unlearn old behaviors, you can make it through anything. There's not much that's shocking. especially when you are married to a psychopath.
Yeah, well, that's the truth. Like when you think about it, you're having a bad day, and you remind yourself, "My God, I already got through this and this and this." It kind of makes sometimes other things pale in comparison.
Keeping things in perspective.
Yeah.
I go to my. I'm a recovered alcoholic, and I go to a support group, and I kind of helps put things into perspective for me, and keeps my head on straight. So as long as I continue down this road, I believe that God's going to be opening some doors.
I think that, I know he is. Like, I think if you keep going this way, like, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, and just keeping this attitude.
It's a little scary, but not to the point where it's a paralysis frightening. You know, I'm putting still one foot in front of the other in spite of my fear.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's really the only thing that you can do. But that's how you get results, right? Like, through effort comes results. It has to be that way.
Yeah, for a long time before I got sober when I was 25, I always thought things would come to you.
Yeah.
Like they sit in your lap. I didn't grow up until I was like finally 25 years old. And I learned that you had to go out and actually take action for things to happen.
Yeah.
So, man, my God, I shouldn't be here. Like, it was really bad, Sharon.
I know. Oh, God, you don't have to tell me that. I know.
And it wasn't just perception. Like, there was a lot of things that my ex did that was just downright, like, vile.
Yeah.
You know, and God bless her. I forgive her. I definitely won't ever forget again. You know, my last act of loving kindness is the no contact. You know, so talking about that, what happened with you and what's going on with yours, divorce and stuff?
Yep, I mentioned this a little bit the other day. I met, was it the same day? No, I think it was like the next day.
The next day.
Yeah, so I met on Zoom with my attorney, my ex and his attorney. Now, originally, what happened was we had 2 mediations, and it was pretty much settled, or I thought so. Then when my attorney drafted out like the final resolution, suddenly my ex had a lot of things to say about this. So I thought, and my attorney thought this too, my ex's attorney asked if we could meet on Zoom. So we thought, my attorney and I, that this was going to be the 4 of us, just getting these issues done with. But instead, it was like this very weird thing. Like his attorney arranged it, so it was, I never saw him. I saw his attorney very briefly, but just right at the beginning. And it was kind of like my attorney and I were just like in this room, and then my ex and his attorney. So we have child custody is, I believe, done. I believe the child custody, and that was so important to me because I wanted my son outright. So that's pretty much done. We had, and then alimony, there is no alimony. Then there was child support. I get child support for my youngest until he's 18. But there were other things my ex was really upset about. One, he didn't want me to get health insurance. So the way they do it in Massachusetts is, I'm assuming this is how other states are too, if the person who holds the health insurance is at the same job, they continue covering you. Like it just continues on. Unless he quits that job, gets laid off, is not working there anymore, or I got remarried. Other than that, like, he wouldn't do the insurance. He didn't want to do that. He was completely against it. So finally, what ended up happening is that I have to pay him $160 every month to stay on the insurance. I was pretty ticked off about that, because this is the thing that really upsets me with my ex. You know, he knows what really happened. He knows the things he did. But he's, and Joe had said to me one time, I was like, and this just stuck with me. So if this is you, consider this, because this really affected me. Joe's like, Sharon, if he's really in a recovery program,
well, he was
claiming to be a recovering alcoholic. Yeah. And actually, that's how Joe and I first started speaking, because of something I mentioned about a support group on the channel. But Joe's like, if somebody's really in recovery, they're going to want to make life easier for you. Not that they want to make life easier to you at their detriment, but that my ex, for example, would say, you know what, I really put her through hell. My own kids are afraid of me. All right, you know what, I can cover $160 and make 6 figures. You don't. You know what I mean? Like, just something basic. Not that I'm trying to get stuff, but it kind of ticked me off. Because on top of that, I owe him $10,000. When our house sells, I have to give him $10,000. $400,000
for the debt that he racked up behind
behind
her back.
my back. And it's not, guys, it was on credit cards. I wasn't even on the credit card. Like, my name, I'm not on the account.
For a long time, you didn't even know you had like credit card debt until something came in the mail.
Yes.
Yeah,
guys.
that's the kind of, so in a nutshell, like what he was doing was nitpicking little things here and there.
We'll mention the life insurance too.
Well, the life insurance, that's a joke. Like, I think a couple months ago we noticed, like on his life insurance policy, he has his parents. Now, his parents are...
It's $1 million life insurance policy, by the way.
His parents are filthy rich, loaded.
Yes.
Loaded. Like, he's set. You would think, like, why the hell would you want this to go to your rich parents, and why not your own blood, your own children? And he had his parents on there. He wouldn't. This is, guys. This is how much he loves his kids.
Yes. So it's like, as far as I know, I used to be the beneficiary. I wouldn't say that was necessarily true, but I thought so. And that makes sense, right? Like, if your spouse dies, you should get that money, right? That's perfect. Good. If you're getting divorced, you're not married, whatever, it would go to your children. Like,
yeah, take your spouse, take your ex off, and put your children on. So
he won't do it.
Yeah, he won't do that, and then.
Oh wait, but I wanted to say what he is going to do. So I don't actually know what he's going to do with this. There's $1 million life insurance policy he's leaving to his elderly rich parents. My attorney finagled him and talked him into getting a $30,000 life insurance policy that will cover him until our son is 18. And I'm surprised at first he said that he wanted me to get one too to benefit him. So thank God, but still.
I mean, typical narcissist bullshit. And then he hasn't seen his kids for over 2.5 years, and he wants to claim the youngest for his taxes next year. Guys. Which is just despicable. But here's the thing, like, Sharon came out and she was like livid. Naturally so. I was proud of her because she didn't give any kind of reaction or anything like that. But I told her, hey, listen, the big stuff, the stuff that really matters for you and the kids, for your future, is good. Like, let it go. It's easy for somebody to listen to you to be like, oh, no, hell no, you could collect alimony. Yeah, do you, like, after, at least in our position, after 20 years of marriage, like, when we're getting out of here, these relationships, we're not in a good spot, financially or anything. It's a freaking miracle that we're able to find lawyers to pay just to get us through.
Yeah.
So knowing that and not having another $10,000 or $15,000 or $20,000 to go to court and drive all the way up 2 states, 3 states away to show up for court 4 times for potentially alimony to be lost or whatever the case is, and continue this on for 5 months is like, let it go.
You helped me feel so much better because I was distraught.
It's
I
the
was very
war.
upset.
It's like these little battles. This is like the narcissists are all about. Let him think that he won. Like, let him think in his mind so that you can get the hell out of here.
Well, that's the thing you said to me too, because I was really upset. So this financially, I don't think, you hear that women do so well. No, not me.
I don't know. I see. That's where we disagree.
Do you think I got my case?
I think in your case, had you have had another $15,000 or $20,000, you would have done you would have taken him for everything that you wanted to, if you had $15,000 or $20,000 to pay your attorney, and you had a different attorney.
Yeah.
The attorney we got was somebody that was able to navigate through here to make sure that you weren't getting screwed too bad, but only charged you a small amount of money to get this done. But I think had you have had the money to get an attorney, knowing his big fat ass at 6'2", and you, and pulling up the social services records and the police report, we had the loaded gun, like, it would have went your way.
Well, what I try to do, because this is the type of thing that can easily just destroy you. You know what I mean? I'm out of the entanglement. I'm out. So for me to be destroyed after already being out is not where I want to go. The thing I wanted most of anything, and I'll tell you this, I would have given up everything to have this, my son. I wanted my son outright, full custody, full decision making, and that happened. So I need to remember, I don't care if I got 100% of the house, if I didn't have my son, like, oh my God, if I had $5,000 a month in alimony, if I don't have my son. So I got my son, and my ex told me that he doesn't have any retirement. He does have retirement, so I'll get half of that. So in that way, it's more that just the retirement alone is more than the $10,000 that I have to pay him, more than whatever.
Yeah,
but still,
is it bullshit? Yes. However, like in the grand scheme of things, like you walked away and you and your kids, because you got your head on your shoulders, are going to be okay. You got a good chance. You got better than a good chance.
Yeah, I know. It's you guys, I'm sure you know, it's frustrating, when you feel like after all the things they've done, after the abuse, after the turmoil, the trauma, here is my ex blaming me for everything.
The mask is totally off. Like he knows the game's up. He's not trying to pretend anything now. And then it was funny because didn't he send you an email?
About the orthodontist, yeah. So I am. Go ahead. I'm interrupting you.
I think. It was agreed that he'd help pay for Sharon's son his orthodontist bill, and he did. But he sent. Now Sharon hasn't gotten an email or any contact from him for months. He sent her an email saying, "Oh, by the way, I paid for."
Hi, everybody. Hopefully, when I'm speaking right now, it's a smooth transition. Joe accidentally said our son's name, my youngest's name, and my son is very particular about not being. It's for him, this is a tough thing. He doesn't mind me doing the YouTube channel, but he doesn't want his name or picture out there associated with it. So we're going to try to pick up where we left off.
So let's start off with the orthodontist bill
that
he paid, and he sent you an email saying, "Hey, I paid the orthodontist bill."
Well, actually, let me just go back for a second.
Yeah.
So the orthodontist bill is $3,200. My ex is supposed to pay 100% of that. No, I already paid $5,000 for him to have orthodontic care in New Hampshire. So I could not. So my poor son, he has Invisalign. If any of you know what Invisalign is, they're like, it's braces, but instead of having like the metal brackets on your teeth, it's like these. When I get to it, I told you it. I'll tell you what happened at the ortho. So he has like these retainers, and the retainers move your teeth, so you can take them out, so you can eat or floss your teeth or whatever. So I paid $5,000 for that. My ex is supposed to finish it up, but my son has been using the exact same, like they're called trays, like the retainers, for weeks. So for him to go to the orthodontist I kept canceling appointments because my ex was supposed to pay and he wouldn't. I couldn't get my son in without paying $1,200 up front. I literally had to borrow $1,200 from Paris so I could pay for the orthodontist. So my ex wasn't paying. So finally, he made the first payment. I had to pay like $1,200, and then it's like $300 a month for 6 months or something like that. So my ex wouldn't pay. Then all of a sudden I get this email from him, and it's like, Sharon, remember what he was talking about the appointment? He's like, Sharon, I paid the monthly charge for our son's ortho care, so they shouldn't say anything at his appointment tomorrow. And then he was like, and it was like, regards. But I was kind of laughing a little bit where he has to put in that, like, it was almost like when you sent the police here, you know what I mean? I know where you are. So it's kind of like,
I know when
when his appointment is, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was just whatever. And it's just, no contact, man.
Yes, it's been no contact, you guys. The last contact I had with my ex was in December when I first came out here. I did reply to a couple of emails that he sent. He doesn't have my phone number. There's nothing, and it feels damn good, I have to say.
They could be dangerous sometimes. I remember mine, like, it was no contact because she would, like, try to accuse me of hitting her or something crazy. Like, she tried to accuse me of I raped her, she said. Like, it was just crazy. Like, no contact is to protect you, like, literally from these people,
my ex
too.
broke into the house. Like, he was stalking me. He'd wander around the backyard. That's scary.
You don't know. They're capable of just, at least mine was capable of anything. So I was just like, hey,
so was mine. My ex was physically abusive to me at the beginning of our relationship. So I already knew that he had that in him. He shows up at the house drunk, passed out, with a loaded gun. And he also tried to get me arrested under false pretenses. Something like that. You don't want to. And plus, he's a lot. Like, I'm kind of small. My ex is like 6'2", 250, 260. Like, he could do anything to me if he really wanted to.
Not anymore.
Yeah. No, I know. But so that is our divorce news. So Joe is officially free, and hopefully, God willing, I will be officially free before Thanksgiving. So please pray for me on that. because I would absolutely love, I can't wait till Joe and I are both here, free, sitting next to each other, breathing the free air.
It's like I was holding my breath for 2.5 years, man. That I remember there was a couple nights where I was going to call up you can't say it on YouTube, but
a hotline.
Yeah,
for people
hotline.
In distress.
Yeah, it was bad, you guys. Like the electric got shut off. She stole the car. There was no money in my account. She took it all. My son's got to go to school. The kids need groceries. I got 2 cats and a dog.
It's no joke what they do. Like, that's the truth.
Yeah, it wasn't like I jumped into another relationship. It was a year before Sharon and I met. And
yes, for anybody that doesn't know that, Joe and I, were in a relationship, but I was separated for about 1.5 years or so, and you were around a year before we got involved,
Heavy, like inner work of looking at our codependency issues and this and that, and then it wasn't like we were looking for it. It just kind of happened in God's plan,
Yeah. So, Joe, I'm not going to say anything tonight, but we will be saying maybe next week we have some plans for the channel.
Yeah, we're thinking about building it a little bit more. Eventually getting our faces on here so people can see us.
Yes.
Building up the store with more merchandise.
Yep.
Maybe a book or 2 out there, So we're going to, now that we're a little bit freed up, there's a couple seminars that we wanted to do too. We were thinking one definitely now is getting close to where we could share with you guys, like, exactly what was happening during the divorce.
There's a lot, particularly, I want to say, regarding my son, the minor child. So we'll definitely get into that.
And then also shadow work and looking at the role we played in the relationship, because it takes 2 to tango.
That's really when you can start healing. Because if you're at the point where you're just blaming the narcissist, and it is their fault, like, let's be honest, but why did we put up with it? That's what you have to ask yourself,
Yeah, there's there's a million excuses, but when you start getting honest enough and courageous enough to start looking at yourself, and
that's when your whole world changes.
Yeah. It's a simple shift of perspective can cause a spiritual awakening, and that's definitely what happened to us.
So we have that and more coming up, so we might start talking about it next week, the plans that we have. But Joe and I, we want to get through this and help you get through it too.
Yeah, and it's just the beginning now. It's just like our life gets to start over. I often wonder sometimes, like, how many deaths we have while where we live. I told you I was a recovered alcoholic and drug addict. There was a part of me that died when I was 25. Just so many times where it's like so many opportunities and chances. God is good.
Oh, God, that's an understatement. God got our asses through this.
Yeah, it was my faith in Jesus and
do you think you could have gotten through it without faith?
No.
No, I don't either.
And the faith wasn't from me, really. I think, like, when I was born, it was, like, in me somehow,
I think,
it's not like I acquired it with some, like, great knowledge or
I think
faith.
that's
kind
of how it is, and it's just like you either believe or you don't, and you
cultivate it. Like, there's a lot of times, you guys, where I was doubted. Like, I was just like, what the hell is going on? And I would be afraid, but I was beyond human aid. Like, you've seen it. Like, I'm sure some of you guys have alcoholics or in your families or drug addicts where you tell them, I love you. You're worth it. No amount of human love was able.
It has to come from within. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where God resides, is from within.
Yeah.
So He definitely saves me. And I'm grateful for that.
I agree. So thank you guys for listening. Really appreciate it. And I will be back with you on Wednesday. And Joe, I'm going to just say it. You're going to be here next week, right?
Yeah, and hopefully I'm headed in the right direction. I'll keep you guys updated on what's going on. There's always something. I found that there's always something that's happening. And if you allow it to throw a wrench in the wheel, you can have a shitty attitude, but
you're going to have to do it either way, so you might as well not have a bad attitude. It's kind of how I always look at it.
If you can make it through narcissistic abuse and overcome codependency, then you can make it through anything.
You're like Hercules at that point,
and not much can stop you.
I agree. All right, guys. So it's getting long. I'll end it now, but I'll see you Wednesday. Have a great week. Love you guys, and we'll see you together next week.
God bless you guys.